Show. We give all the glory and praise to the Most High. We thank you for this time, the memorial of blowing trumpets. Let us understand what this holy day represented means. We glorify your name, Yeshua. We thank you, Ahaya. We give all praise to the Holy Spirit. Renew us and restore us, but more importantly, let us hear when those trumpets are blowing so we can be in accordance to you. Let us hear when these trumpets are going so that we can know what season we are in. Let us hear when the trumpets are going so that we know when we are going to get out of harm's way. Let us hear when the King returns. Amen.
Amen.
Our scripture will be read from Psalms chapter 119, verse 145 through 152. I cried my whole heart, hear me, O Lord, I will keep thy statutes. I cried unto thee, save me, and I shall keep thy testimonies. I prevented the dawnings of the morning and cried, I hoped in thy word. Mine eyes prevent the night watches, that I might meditate in thy word. Hear my voice according to thy loving kindness, O Lord. Quicken me according to thy judgment. They draw nigh that follow after mischief. They are far from thy law. Thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are true concerning thy testimonies. I have known of old that thou hast founded them forever. Now, Psalms chapter 119, verse 145 through 152. We have the blessing is added to the reading and hearing of the word. We will now have our credo, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4.
Shema Yisrael, Ahaya, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one power.
Shema Yisrael Ahaya.
Ahaya Ahaya. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one power.
Shema Yisrael Ahaya. Ahaya.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one power.
shine now, man, right kayana Hamwa Waha Waha Papyra Waha Yam
All right, so our service is a little different because these holy days are solemn feasts. So we do not have the praise and worship, and our internet prayers will be done next week. You are not supposed to have deliverance on Father's holy days, um, because the holy day should take precedence on whatever it is that you typically would do on a Shabbat. And today is the memorial of blowing trumpets. It's also the fall holy day. So we're going to really briefly touch on the fall holy day. We're going to be really in depth with the blowing of trumpets. Understand that Father Yeshua does not do anything without a purpose or without a reason. The holy days are structured so that we get an understanding on what's to come. A lot of people say that we don't know when Yeshua is going to come back. Those people who say that don't read their Bibles, because he tells us it's not a secret when he's going to come back. It's not hidden. This is why, if it was supposedly where we wouldn't know, then why wouldn't we have the holy days to follow? Why do we have to have the holy days? Why are the holy days set up for us? They're set up for us because the holy days tell us and give us an indication on when he's going to return. We must know what these holy days are about. It's not about eating. It's not about, getting together and eating meals and doing things you typically wouldn't do on the Shabbat. That's not what these holy days are for. And if that's what your onus is, then you need to reevaluate yourself, because that's not what it's for. These holy days are to prepare us for the inevitable. They are to prepare us for what is going to happen. These holy days are Bible prophecy. If you do not have a clue on what Bible prophecy is, or you don't have a clue on where we're at in Bible prophecy as of right now, then you have to start studying, and you have to start studying quickly. Yeshua says in Matthew that he has to speed up things so that there can be some survivors. He has to speed up time because he knows that the last days are going to be treacherous. We must keep the laws. We must keep the statutes. We must keep the commandments. We must keep the holy days. But how can you keep something if you don't understand what it is? When we first got into the truth, and we went through Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, we did not know, because Christianity does not teach you these things. We did not know the significance of the Passover. We did not know the significance of the 8th-day feast. We did not know the significance of the unleavened bread, the first fruits, Pentecost, trumpets, atonement, tabernacles. We did not know the significance of these holy days and why they were structured the way they were structured, even down to the time frame on when they're structured. Yeshua cannot come back until that 7th trump is blaring. And we're going to see that. We're going to see the significance of the shofar. That's why you're not supposed to take the shofar lightly or take it grievous or take it for granted. You're not supposed to do that. You see people dancing with the shofar. Oh, no, 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 no. You're not supposed to do that. You see people twirling the shofar around.
Like being a marching band.
Right. No, that's not what you're supposed to do.
What about that song?
Who? Israelite party? No. No. It's not a party when the shofar is being blown. It's not a party. It's time to start taking stuff serious.
No, I think it's a song, and you got people standing around on the shoulder.
No.
It's called Israelite Party.
Mm-mm. That's incorrect. Right? The Memorial of Trumpets. Probably the most important holy day there is. Atonement. Because if you notice, all the other holy days, there's not a requirement for fasting. There's not a requirement to cleanse yourself or to purge yourself. This is the only one. We're going to find out about atonement much more in depth than what we have taught since we have been in the truth. Day of Atonement, sundown 17th, sundown on the 18th. No work, no school, no anything but learning. No drink, no eat.
Don't even brush your teeth.
No music, no anything. It is the Day of Atonement. Tabernacles.
Yeah, you take showers. Yeah.
You have to clean yourself. The Shia said to make sure, clean yourself. When you're going through fasting, you are to cleanse yourself. You are to act like it's a normal day.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to walk around, oh, I'm fasting, and you're not supposed to do that. Right? Yeshua said that himself.
And please don't be, oh, I'm so hungry. I can't wait till Sunday. I'm hungry. Don't
If you do
mention
that,
food.
then you cannot be here, because that's not what it's about.
But he even told them when you fast to anoint yourself
Mm-hmm.
and then to wash your face.
Correct.
Because nobody needs to see anointing oil all over you.
Exactly.
Because that's showing up to what's all that on you? Oh, anointing oil that I have anointed myself.
Right, but you shouldn't be out anyway. Right? All right, Tabernacles, 21st to the 28th. On the 21st and the 28th, both services, and the 29th. All three services start at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will have holy convocations on those services, and the structure of the services will be just like it was today. Download the Cash App. Language class Monday. Bible class Wednesday. The Memorial of Trumpets. People have it confused with Rosh Hashanah, right? Because the Memorial of Trumpets is not on the Hebrew calendar. If you look at the Hebrew calendar, it's called Rosh Hashanah, which is, of course, incorrect. It's an Edomite tradition. It's an Edomite holiday. Blowing of trumpets has nothing to do with Rosh Hashanah. Also, your Hebrew calendar starts this month as the beginning of the year, or Rosh Hashanah is the new year. That's also incorrect. We all know that the first month is the month of Abib. That's the first month, which is what the world calls March. All right, so you should have your King James Bible. We're going to say peace of the 12 tribes that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to all those who follow the law, statutes, and commandments. You have the surname of Israel. Okay? It's still time to go to school. Okay?
That's right.
On this day, we are to do no servile work. So you can cook, you can buy, you can sell, you can travel for the holy day. You can do those things. The Bible tells us that we're not supposed to do any servile work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Jubilees, the 6th chapter. I'm going to read it. We're going to briefly talk about the fall holy day. Jubilees, the 6th chapter. And we're going to read verses 20 to 24. The book of Jubilees is a separate book outside of the Bible, outside of the Apocrypha, outside of Jasher. Right? It was a book that was written by Moses. Jubilees 6th chapter verse 20 says, "And do thou command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generations." It says in all their generations you're supposed to do this. Now let's look at something for a second. The Feast of Weeks and the Feast of First Fruits did not start in Leviticus the 23rd chapter. That was ordained and started with Noah. Okay? Verse 21. "For a commandment unto them, one day in the year of this month shall they shall celebrate the festival. For it is the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of First Fruits. This feast is a twofold and of a double nature." Right? 22. "According to what is written and engraved concerning it, celebrate it. For I have written in the book of the first law, and that which I have written for thee, that thou shouldest celebrate it in its season, one day in the year. And I explained to thee its sacrifices, that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generations in this month on one day in every year." So we are told to celebrate it throughout their generations. It does not stop. 23. "And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the 7th month, and on the new moon on the 10th month, are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained." Right? These are written and ordained. So it says the first month, spring; the 4th month, summer; the 7th month, fall; the 10th month, winter. Verse 24. as a testimony forever. And the last time I checked and looked, forever is a really long time. And nor ordained them for himself as feasts for the generations forever. Right? So this is why, and this is how we celebrate the spring, summer, winter, and fall, because it was ordained and written. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're going to go to Ecclesiasticus 43. We're going to read verses 5 and 8. So the book of Jubilees, Noah got that commandment from Yeshaya. And that's where a lot of people fall off, and they go to the new moons and they start looking for new moons. And then the first new moon of the first month is when they celebrate the spring. The first new moon on the fourth month is when they celebrate the summer. They start to follow the moons, and then they get really off into it because they start following the red moons. And they start looking for red moons. What you do is you just take the years and divide them, you get 13 weeks. 13 weeks, first, fourth, 7th, 10th. And if you follow the 13 weeks, you get you know that they're going to, except for summer, because there's no holy day in the summer, they're going to fall on a holy day. Passover in the fall, trumpets in the winter time, dedication. The only one that does not fall on a specific holy day is the summer. It's very simple. Ecclesiasticus, the 43rd chapter.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 43, verse 5. Great is the Lord that made it, and at his commandment it runneth hastily.
Ecclesiasticus 43, verse 5.
It is Ecclesiasticus 43.
From the moon is the sign of feast. A light. Ecclesiasticus 43.
Yeah, chapter 43, verse 5 says, Great is the Lord that made it.
Continue reading.
Great is the Lord that made it, and at his commandment it runneth hastily. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times, and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection.
Verse 8.
The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
All right, so Yeshaya gives us these special days to observe from generation to generation. The true holy days are in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Yeshaya has 7 high day Sabbaths, right? And what is a high day Shabbat?
A holy day? Okay.
What's a high day Shabbat?
Feast?
So if we have 7 feast days, or we have 7 days, Passover, unleavened, first fruits or weeks, trumpets, atonement, and tabernacles, and 8th day.
And the other Sabbaths are just regular Sabbaths. What would be a high holiday, a high Sabbath?
A feast day? Or a holy day?
Okay, Yeshaya has 7 high day Sabbaths. I just said what they were.
Oh, I thought you was asking.
No, I was asking at first.
Oh.
Okay, the high day Sabbaths are the holy days. Okay? Christians have messed this up with the resurrection and the death because they think he died on a Friday and rose on Sunday morning. The blowing of trumpets meant war. The blowing of trumpets mean a king being crowned and the coming of Yeshua. And we're going to see all three events.
So how when that song is an Israelite party and you have people blowing the shofar, that has nothing to do with Yeshaya at all?
No. No, it doesn't. Also, when the trumpets are blown, it's the start of the Shabbat. So that's another reason why they would blow the shofars, because it would start the Shabbat going.
They had a meaning, a message behind it.
Right. There were certain ways that the shofar was blown, because you couldn't blow the shofar to start a Shabbat if that meant war was coming. So there were certain ways that the priest would blow the shofar so that the people would know and understand. When Solomon was being crowned, they were blowing shofars to announce to the people that Solomon was going to be king or being crowned king. If they were blowing the shofars that represented the enemy was coming, there would be confusion.
Oh my goodness, so that's how we come up confusion.
So let's look at the blowing of trumpets as pertaining to war, the crowning of a king, and the coming of Yeshua. We're going to start it off in Leviticus 23. These feast days give us a glimpse of what Yeshua wants us to see. The feast days are not about sitting around and eating, and it's not about that. But it's about understanding where we are at in Bible prophecy. In keeping these feasts, you keep and you pay attention to what is going on in Bible prophecy. We're going to read Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and we're going to read verses 1 to 4 to see a normal Shabbat.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
All right, so these are feasts of Yeshua. They're not feasts that man created. Big difference. Man create whatever holidays that man create, you don't keep those. Because there's a satanic root behind every single holiday there is. There's a satanic root. There's no satanic root behind the holy days. 3.
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. A holy convocation, ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
So it is a holy convocation, and the Bible says you shall do no work. None. It doesn't even tell you that on this Shabbat that you are to offer a sacrifice by fire. Let's read 4.
These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
All right, so we're supposed to proclaim them in their seasons. These are feasts of Yeshua. So you don't have to guess what he's doing. You don't have to guess on what the Bible is saying about prophecy. A lot of the Christian church, or a lot of churches, period, overlook the Passover. You have some of them that do it twice a year, which is incorrect. You're not supposed to do it twice a year. And they'll go to Numbers and say, well, see, there you go. If you miss it, you can do it again. They err because they know not Scripture. That's what Yeshaya said. All right. Let's see about the blowing of trumpets. We're going to skip down to verse 23. Let's read 23.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, and the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation.
All right, so he says, Speak unto the children of Israel, 7th month, which is what we are in now, regardless whether the whether the calendar says 9, we're really in month 7. You shall have a Sabbath, when it says on the first day of the month, that's the first Sabbath of the month, not September 1st, as some people are doing. That does not mean September 1st. That means on the first Sabbath, because you're supposed to do it on a Sabbath. You don't do it on the first of the month. If the first of the month is on a Wednesday, you don't proclaim that a Sabbath, because it's not a Sabbath. That's what a lot of our brothers get thrown off about. A memorial of blowing trumpets, a holy convocation. Verse 25.
Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Right, so it says, you shall do no servile work, right? But it says that you shall offer an offering made by fire. A normal Shabbat, you don't offer an offering made by fire, because that requires work. But here it says no servile work. So that means that on this particular holy day, that you can do certain things that you can't do on the Shabbat, but you cannot go to work. A memorial is something that is designated to preserve a memory, a person, an event, a monument. That's what a memorial is. Yeshua died taking an end to animal sacrifice. So that means we don't have to go out in a yard and make an offering by fire. But certain people still are making offerings by fire.
They do.
And it's Israelites who are doing that.
Yes, it is.
You don't have to do that. Judah is sitting out there making an offering by fire. And you don't have to do that. Yes?
Does it become a sin if they do it?
No.
But it's disrespectful to your
But it's disrespectful to Yeshua. It's not a sin. But at the same time, Yeshua was the ultimate sacrifice. So what you're saying is that what he did was not good enough.
Because a sin is a transgression against the law.
And that's not a transgression against the law. So it's not a sin. Yeshua died, no more animal sacrifices. But this day is very important. We must understand and know what this day represents. We're going to see Yeshua, and we're going to see how Yeshua is going to deal with Israel. Okay? When we come here to learn, nothing else. If you want to be entertained and laugh and have a good time, you're in the wrong place, because we are here to learn and educate so we can get to the New Jerusalem. When we get to the New Jerusalem, then that's a time where you can kick back, joy, laugh, and all that. But it's time for us to get serious. We've been joking around for far too long. We're going to go to Exodus, the 19th chapter.
Now, one thing I thought was so disrespectful years ago when they came out with Christian comedy, where people was telling jokes from the Bible with the scriptures. I could never understand that. It was ridiculous. So yeah, it is time to stop joking around.
Exodus 19, and we're going to start at 10. Let's read.
Exodus chapter 19, verse 10. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their
All
clothes.
right, so you're supposed to say, you get yourself ready for the Shabbat. This has a little different meaning though. Verse 11.
And be ready against the third day. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai.
Right? So the third day, what does the third day mean? The first resurrection.
And so that's why when we're going through the Shabbat, you should wash your clothes, wash your body, get your house prepared. So whenever he does come back, you're going to be already ready.
Right.
So now y'all understand, my family, y'all understand? You must prepare. You must do things as if
he's coming that day.
day.
Right? That keeps yourself ready, prepared.
And I have some, it's an ark in here. He always say, I stay ready, so I ain't gotta get ready.
Let's skip down. No, let's not skip down.
You know who say
Down. Let's go to verse 14. All right, and let's read.
Exodus chapter 19, verse 14. And Moses went down from the mount to the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives.
Right? So you're not supposed to have relations with your wife. Right? 16.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings.
Oh, there, thunders and lightnings. So what trumpet is tied to thunders and lightnings? Right? Where's that going to play in Bible prophecy? You're reading right now the 7 trumps. You're reading right now what's going to happen with the trumpets. Continue. And a thick.
That's where you start off.
You stop that.
And a big cloud.
Exodus chapter 19, verse 16. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled.
So there's thunders, there's lightnings, a thick cloud, a voice of a trumpet, exceedingly loud. We're going to see this again. A few places. 17.
And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with the Most High. And they stood at the nether part of the mount.
Right? Verse 18.
And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. And the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly.
Imagine seeing that, but you still are acting in rebellion after you see this. Our people are something else. The mount, the smoke, the fire. Notice it said he came down. It didn't say they were brought up.
No rapture.
No rapture. He came down. And the smoke and all the fire that came down. This event is going to happen again. Verse 19.
And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake. And the Most High answered him by a voice.
So it got louder and louder and louder. This is why we don't play around with the shofars. It got louder and louder and louder. And Moses was speaking. And Yeshua was speaking back with him. And all the people, they were just standing around. And they were trembling. And they were fearful.
You know, there was a brother in here that used to blow the shofar. and he was sinning, he was smoking and all that. And remember, one Shabbat he was blowing the shofar and blood started coming, his mouth and something started bleeding. There was blood coming through the shofar.
Oh, you can tell.
And he used to play with it, he used to dance with it, doing praise and worship, everything. And he was living sinful.
When I talk, well, never mind. Verse 20.
Yeah.
Verse 20, and the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai, and on top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up.
Let's reread that.
Let's reread that again.
Exodus chapter 19, verse 20. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up.
It's mount. It's not mountain.
It's
mount.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's normal.
the trumpet was to announce his coming. Now he's going to do the same thing. He doesn't change. So the same thing he did in Exodus, he's going to do the same thing again. This trump was to announce that he is coming. But we're going to see this again a few times. Let's skip over to Exodus 20th chapter. We're going to read 18. We're going to start at verse 18. Just 18 and 19.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 18. And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off.
They removed, they stood back. Verse 19.
And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not the Most High speak with us, lest we die.
We don't want to speak with him. We'll talk to you, Moses, but we don't want to speak to him.
What was wrong with that picture?
Because if you speak to him, then whatever you say to him, you better do it.
Yeah.
That's why they said, we will just talk to you, Moses. Moses could not strike them all dead.
Ah.
One thing that people don't pay attention is that Yeshua did, when everything Yeshua did, the trumpet was involved. Everything that he did, the trumpet had a play in it.
Even before our people went to war, and it said Yeshua would go before them or with them, the trumpets would blaring. The high priest would blow. The priest would blow the trumpet.
We're going to see that.
Yeah.
Let's go to Numbers 31st chapter.
Holy instrument.
Everything that Yeshua did started off with the trumpet. Numbers 31. Numbers 31. We're going to start at verse 1. Let's read.
Numbers chapter 31, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Avenge the children of Israel of the Midianites. Afterwards shalt thou be gathered unto thy people.
Avenge the children of Israel against the Midianites. What happened? Well, the Midianites would not allow us to take passage through a certain weird place of the wilderness. In fact, they attacked us. So now it says, avenge the children of Israel. How is Moses going to do that? Verse 3.
And Moses spake unto the people, saying, Arm some of yourselves unto the war, and let them go against the Midianites, and avenge the Lord of Midian.
Avenge, right? Arm yourselves for war. Right? Okay, get ready. He's telling you something. Get ready. Verse 4.
Of every tribe 1,000, throughout all the tribes of Israel, shall ye send to the war.
Verse 5.
So there were delivered out of the thousands of Israel 1,000 of every tribe, 12,000 armed for war.
12,000 armed for war, right? But something had to happen before that happens. It had to be announced. Verse 6.
And Moses sent them to the war, 1,000 of every tribe, them and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest, to the war with the holy instruments and the trumpets to blow in his hand.
The trumpets to blow in his hand. So the priest had the trumpets. The trumpets is to announce Yeshua's coming during a time of war. Verse 7.
And they warred against the Midianites, as the Lord commanded Moses, and they slew all the males.
12,000 men and priests went to war. And this shows Yeshua is a man of war.
Jesus loved everybody.
Because he was the one who told them to avenge me against the Midianites. So where does it say that you're not supposed to defend the Bible against all comers who come against the Bible? You get the super Christians who say, well, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And have no idea what they're talking about. Yeshua gave them a direct order. Go up against the Midianites. Get the instruments, the holy instruments. Ask yourself, what are the holy instruments? We're going to see that. Because that's also in Revelation. You're reading the book of Revelation and you ain't even got to the book of Revelation. These holy instruments and the trumpets are a very significant part of Bible prophecy. And we're going to see the holy instruments, and they're going to be named in the book of Revelation when we get there. This is war.
We just talked about last night, and I was telling you about that show I saw when the scripture does say vengeance is mine. Oh, but I see what you're saying. So Yeshua is saying vengeance is mine. It depends on how he instructs you, or as an army or as an angel, whatever he set forth to get revenge on, right?
Right. Well, what he says here is that there was a reason why he says avenge me against the Midianites.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you have to read what happened between Israel and the Midianites in order for this to happen. There was an event that happened prior to this war. So open up your Bibles and go to Exodus and find out what it was that the Midianites did against our people. So then Yeshua says to Moses, get yourselves prepared for war. There's no movement. They didn't go out and declare war against the Midianites unless Yeshua says so first.
Yeah.
There was the army of Israel did not move until Yeshua gave the order to move. Even with Saul, when Saul was told to go and kill all the Amalekites, he didn't declare war. Yeshua was the one who told him to do that. When he came up against the Assyrians, our people were not told until Yeshua said, go. And then they didn't even have to fight. They went and showed up at the battle, but by the time the battle was to start, the Midianites were slain. I mean, not the Midianites, not the Amalekites, the Assyrians. They were slain.
So
Anytime with Israel, when it came to war, Yeshua was the one who said, go to war.
And when Saul went without Yeshua's permission, what happened?
Yeah,
Him, his sons, yeah.
We're going to go Joshua 6. So, they went to war. And when they went to war, two things with them. Two things went with them. First, the Ark of the Covenant. The trumpets. The trumpets represent the coming of Yeshua. Yeshua's army is coming. The Ark of the Covenant represented the Most High himself. This was the first war. Well, the first war is coming up without Moses when we get to Joshua 6. But anytime that you are in battle, this is why the shofars are blown every Shabbat, because every Shabbat you are coming up against Satan. So every Shabbat, the trumpet should be blown to start. It represents the coming of Yeshua. We're going to Joshua, the 6th chapter. And let's read Revelation again in the book of Joshua. Joshua 6, we're going to start at verse 1.
Joshua chapter 6, verse 1. Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. And the Lord said unto Joshua, See, I have given into thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty man of valor.
So Yeshua came to Joshua and says, I have given you Jericho. You see, they're not going out. You see, nobody's going in. Verse 3.
And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days.
Once you're going to go around the city, but you're going to do it for 6 days. That's the work. Verse 4.
And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow with the trumpets.
Now, this is very specific. 6 days of the week, you're going to go around once. The 7th day, you're going to go around 7 times. You're going to bring those ram's horns. And you're going to have the priests, they're going to blow the trumpet. That's the coming of Yeshua, followed by the Ark of the Covenant. 7 times. Verse 5.
And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout.
What do you think is going to happen at that 7th trump? Keep going.
And the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend upon every man straight before him.
You're reading Revelation and you're not even in Revelation. You're reading the book of Revelation. You're reading Bible prophecy. Verse 6.
And Joshua the son of Nun called the priests, and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord.
7 priests, 7 ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. Right? Going around the city 7 times. Verse 7.
And he said unto the people, Pass on, and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord.
Let him that is armed. So now you have the 7 priests, and you have the 7 ram's horns. So the men who are armed are walking they're walking past the Ark of the Covenant. So these men are armed and the Ark of the Covenant, and they're walking past while the Ark of the Covenant is here. Is armed pass on before the Ark of the Lord. 7 priests, the Ark, the men who have the weapons. It's coming. Verse 8.
And it came to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before the Lord, and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant and the Lord followed them.
So when the trumpets are blown, the men are ready for battle. When the trumpet is blown in Revelation, the wrath of Yeshua comes. It's the same thing. The trumpets are being blown, the wrath of Yeshua is coming through the men. In Revelation, it's not going to be men. It's going to be one angel bringing down wrath, pouring out the vials. And we're going to see that. This is the vial being poured out on Jericho. Verse 9.
And the armed man went before the priests that blew with the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark. The priests going on and blowing with the trumpets.
The reward are those that were in the back of the army, right? In the back of the army. They came forth also. You had 7 priest horns. I'm sorry, you had 7 priests, 7 ram's horns. Yeshua is not going to change what he does. You got this big army, 12,000 men, whatever the count may be, and you have these priests blowing the trumpets, surrounding the city with a shout. The walls come down. Yeshua is not doing anything different. He's showing us what he's about. We just have to take the time and read it. He's giving us revelation right now. Let's skip down to verse 12, and we're going to read verse 12.
Joshua chapter 6, verse 12. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. And 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns blew the ark of the Lord before the ark of the Lord went on continually, and blew with the trumpets.
How many trumpets are there going to be blown in Revelation? How many trumpets are going to be blown in Revelation?
7.
7. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. The 7 trumpets that are blown before they took over the city of Jericho, the 7 trumpets are going to be blown again. But this time in Revelation, when the wrath is coming now, this time when Revelation comes, it's going to be a whole different wrath. We're going to see that. Finish that verse, please. And the armed men.
And the armed men went before them, but the reward came after the ark of the Lord, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpet.
The priests going on and blowing the trumpets. They had to be real fit because they need to blow them continually. Verse 14.
And the second day they compassed the city once and returned into the camp. So they did 6 days. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times.
So they rose up at the crack of dawn. They didn't wait till 9, 10 o'clock. They opened at the crack of dawn, and they went doing it again. 16.
And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priest blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, shout, for the Lord hath given you the city.
Shout, for the Lord hath given you the city. Right after that 7th time, Joshua tells the people, shout.
So everybody had to be fit. They went around the city 7 times.
Yes.
Without stopping,
Mm-hmm.
on the shofar.
Verse 17.
And the city shall be accursed, even it, and all that are therein, to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Only Rahab, the harlot, shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent.
So let's understand something also, because you're reading Revelation with this. One family out of a city was saved.
Like
One family. We've seen this before, and we're going to see it again. You don't get your act together, you're going to be part of the people in Jericho who are going to be slaughtered when Josiah's wrath comes. We're going to see that, though. You're reading Revelation right now. 18.
And ye, and any wise, keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed, when ye take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel accursed, and trouble it.
Keep away sin. 19.
But all the silver and gold, and vessels of brass and iron, are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So the people shouted with the priest, when the priest blew with the trumpets. And it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city.
We're going to see this again. Verse 21.
And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city.
They destroyed everything that was in the city. Everything is going to be destroyed again. Read.
Both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep and ass, with the edge of the sword.
Everything. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what you are. Everything is going to be destroyed. Yes.
You said the one family out of the city was saved, and then you talked about Revelation. Is that parallel with the people in the wilderness?
That parallels with the people in the wilderness. No, that parallels with the people who are outside the wilderness.
So the only people that would be saved would be the people in the wilderness.
The people in the wilderness will be fine.
One
Yeah, so
family.
that's the one.
What I'm saying is that outside the wilderness, that's when when the trumpets are being blown, the people in the wilderness are not going to be affected until a certain trumpet is blown.
So the people that would look at it.
The people who are outside, who are going to be facing the wrath of Yeshua, there's going to be a few of them who repent.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be a certain trumpet that's blown where nobody's going to repent. On the 7th day, they shout and blew the trumpets. This is the same thing he's going to do when he returns. Jericho is a small example of what's going to happen when Yeshua comes. Just a small example. The walls falling down in Jericho represent the world falling down when Yeshua comes. The Ark of the Covenant represents the presence of Yeshua. But there's not going to be a need for Ark of the Covenant when the first resurrection happens. Let's go to Revelation 6. We're going to start at verse 12. The memorial of blowing trumpets. Revelation 6 and 12. Okay, let's read.
Revelation chapter 6, verse 12. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood.
13.
And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind.
All right, 14.
And the heaven departed as a scroll, when it is yet rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places.
Now let's understand something. Mountains and islands are not going to be moving all over the place. It's showing the violence that's going to come when he comes. It's giving us a metaphor on the violence that's going to start to happen. Not happening yet because there's no trumpets being blown. 15.
And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich man, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains.
What do you think was happening in the city of Jericho when the Israelites was walking around the city and blowing those ram's horns? What do you think the people were doing in the city? They were doing this. See, on a much grander scale, when Yeshua comes back, everybody's going to see it, but not everybody's going to know what's happening. In Jericho, they were hiding. They were hiding in their closets. They were hiding under the beds. They were doing all that. But they weren't going to escape. Just like these kings of the earth, they're going to run and scatter, but they're not going to be able to hide. 16.
And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
The great day of his wrath is come. Those trumpets, those priests, the people shouting, that is the great day of his wrath. That gives us an indication of the great day of his wrath. Women, children, men, oxen, everything that had breath, destroyed. And you want to make sure that you are in the wilderness.
Not around.
That you're not around. Because when those trumps open, when those trumps are blaring, the vials are coming.
So for all the people who mocked him, made fun of him, the law, statutes, and commandments, sinned against him.
It's not going to be a pretty day. Yes.
Wrath.
So I always wondered, how was it that in Jericho, they just had to go around and blowing the trumpets? Now I can imagine it, the fear it was, Yeshua was fighting, warring for them without, them having to, and without them, they knew what was coming to them, and they were fearful, hearing the people screaming, hearing the trumpets blowing in a war.
Well, we don't know. Everybody in that city was fearful.
Right.
Because even in the last days, people are going to see Yeshua and see his power and still not going to fear him.
Right. We got that scripture.
So that
later.
It probably was some people that was fearful.
Oh, yeah.
But not everybody.
Not everybody.
Some people was like, let's bring this fight on. We're ready.
Some people sure mocked them and said that they were crazy, walking out there yelling like that.
Possibly. Right?
So everybody, even people going to actually see Yeshua coming with the angels and still not going to be in repentance. They're going to be ready. They're going to want to fight him.
Correct. And we got that also.
Yeah.
When we get to that later. Let's go to Revelation 7. So the heaven is going to roll like a scroll, right? The heavens are going to roll like a scroll, and everybody's going to see this. There's not going to be not one person that's not going to see this. There's going to be great tribulation for 3.5 years during the time the beast and the false prophet will win against those who are outside the wilderness. Right? Yeshaya wrath is called, the first part is called Armageddon. That's the first part of it.
You ever wonder why people have to be beheaded? Like why, so for the people who won't take the mark of the beast, why they death have to be a death of being beheaded? That's pretty.
The Bible says.
I know, but it's just
right.
Why
no, there's not going to be, because there's not going to be any crucifixions, right? Beheading, and remember, beheading was what is it? Execution. What is that called? What is it called when you're executed?
Executed?
No. What is it called? Corporal punishment.
Oh, okay.
Right? Corporal punishment. Right now it's the electric chair or death by injection.
No, they have this.
They're bringing back beheadings.
It was this city. Y'all remember this thing grabbed the head and snatched the head off.
That's a form of beheading.
It is, but it's real. I forgot what city they do it in now.
We're going to go to Revelation 7. We're going to read verses 1 through 4. Let's read.
Revelation chapter 7, verse 1.
Go ahead.
And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
All right, verse 2.
And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea.
Now, the 4 angels holding the 4 corners of the earth, those are the Gentile nations. Right? So the angel that's coming through hurt not the earth, nor the sea. Right? There's a reason why. Verse 3.
Saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees. So we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads.
Come on.
And I heard the most number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
We're going to see this 144,000 again, and it's not these people. We're going to see it again, right? So the greatest cults on earth, Catholic and Roman Christianity and her daughters, right? The majority of what they teach is paganism. It's not the gospel. There is no secret coming of Yeshua. It's no secret coming when he's going to come. Every eye is going to see when he comes. And like I said earlier, they may not know what they're seeing, but they'll know it's him. That's why they're preparing all this stuff out in space, to think that they're going to stop him from coming here. It's not going to happen. 144,000 are the children of the Israel children. Shai is the power over them. Let's skip down to verse 9, and we're going to start at verse 9. We're still in Revelation 7.
Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man can number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our power, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb.
Verse 11.
And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders of the 4 beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worship the Most High,
Mm-hmm.
saying, Amen, blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our power forever and ever. Amen.
Be unto our power forever and ever. Amen. Right? Verse 15.
Verse 15. Therefore are they before the throne of the Most High, and serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them.
Verse 16.
They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sunlight on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them,
Mm-hmm.
and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters, and the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes.
Right. So this is what event?
Can we go back to before 12,
Before 12.
where it says all nations? Okay. So 9. Doesn't that debunk where Camps is teaching that Yeshua only came for the 12 tribes and no one else is going to make it but the 12 tribes?
Right.
Because it said all nation and kindred
Mm-hmm.
and people and tongue
Mm-hmm.
stood before the throne.
Correct.
So how, I don't understand, it's simple, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
So how could they think that other nations is not going to make it?
Don't know. They don't read.
And it's elders that's teaching this.
Don't know. All right, so all the people that sit around the throne, who are these people? Revelation 7 and 14. And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, These are they which come out of the great tribulation, having washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So those are people who come out of the great tribulation, right? Correct. The four winds are the four Gentile nations. People think that they're going to take the seal of Yeshua, when in fact they're taking the mark of the beast. And when is that happening? You see it every year. Ash Wednesday. Where do they put the mark? The forehead and on the hand. But they think that they're taking the seal of Yeshua. They're not calling it the seal of Yeshua, though. They're not saying that.
They put it in the form of a cross, right?
They put it in the form of a cross, or they'll just have an ash dot. Or they'll put an ash dot on your hand, right? That's the mark of the beast. But people think that they're taking the seal of Jesus when they do that. Right? And we already know that there's two sets of 144,000, right? It's not just one set of 144,000. If you go to Revelation, the 14th chapter, it'll show you that the second set of 144,000 are Israelite males. The first 144,000 are those who are sealed with the seal of Yeshua.
I never knew that. I thought that was the same people.
It's not. Yes.
So the 144,000 in chapter 7 are those people that are still on the earth?
Yeah,
Let's
still
go there.
You just read it. Let's go to Revelation 4. Well, let's go to Revelation 14. Two different 144,000, yes.
Do the people that died already need the seal? Or is the seal so that they don't get the judgment of the earth?
When you die, there's no need for seal.
So that was my question, was it the people that are still alive?
We're going to see that.
Oh.
Hold on, because we got to go to the Thessalonians. We're going to see that, right? We've taught on this before, so let's bring it back. I'm sorry. What? What?
sometimes the teacher has to do a little recap.
Let's go back to Revelation 14. Let's go Revelation 14. Start at verse 1.
Revelation chapter 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with them 144,000.
Now, this lamb is standing on Mount Zion, right? If you go back to Revelation 7, the 144, they're not standing on Mount Zion. They're not on Mount Zion. Keep
Right.
reading.
With him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters,
Mm-hmm.
and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers, harping with their harps.
All right, so this 144,000 has what?
Father's name written on their foreheads.
Correct. Not here. Right? Not here.
Right. Oh,
This 144,000, I'm sorry, did I go back too far? Oh, this 144,000, right? They're not sealed yet, right? Till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. The number of them is 144,000. This group is not sealed yet.
Mm.
The second group in Revelation 14, they have been sealed. Got it?
Mm-hmm. So from that first 144,000, do they have the not opportunity, but there's a chance that they might not get the seal because of their behavior?
Let's find out. Yes.
With the 144,000, does that include the dead or is that without the dead?
No. We're going to find out when the dead are going to come in. Right? You can't seal dead people. He's the power of the living, not the dead.
And they are in
No, like
Abraham's
once
bosom.
they rise, they don't.
They're in Abraham's bosom.
They don't need to be
They don't
sealed.
need that.
They don't need the seal.
What does the seal represent?
Protection.
They already in Abraham's bosom. They don't need to be sealed or
Right.
protected.
They don't need to be sealed. Yes?
So the 144 Israelite males, so when he chose his males, is that like the army that is in the Valak Armageddon? Like this?
We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Who's going to fight when Yeshua's army, when Yeshua's army fights, when is that going to be?
The last battle.
What is the last battle
Like
called?
Gog and Magog.
And what's going to happen with Gog and Magog?
They're going to get destroyed with fire from heaven.
So it's not really going to be a fight.
It's not going to be really a fight,
Okay, I don't know.
right? It's not going to be really a fight. Okay? 144, first 144 is not sealed. Second 144, they are sealed.
And Revelation 7 be the ones who got sealed and be the same people in Revelation 14 instead of two sets of people. Can they be not sealed in 7, then later on in 14 they are sealed?
Well, let's look at Revelation 7 again. Let's go back.
Right? At these points, these people are sealed.
No, they're not sealed.
No, they're getting it.
They're not sealed at this point.
When do they get sealed?
They get sealed in Revelation 14. What's going to happen in Revelation 14? We got to go back to Revelation 14. I don't have it up here because,
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. We're getting off track.
yeah, just a little bit. Just a tad bit, right? All right. We'll get into the 144 a little more when we talk about the deaths of the apostles. For Gentile nations. The first 144 are those that are sealed are all people. The second 144 are Israelite males. So all people you have to be sealed, right, ladies?
Yes.
Okay, first 144 are those that are going to be sealed. This not 144 ladies. It's all people combined. The second one are the Israelite males. Let's go over to Revelation 8. So there's two sets, but that is still, let's get on trumpets. Revelation 8, we're going to start at verse 1. Let's read.
Revelation chapter 8, verse 1.
Now remember earlier, the instruments, we talked about the instruments, right? Well, let's see the instruments now. Revelation 8, starting at verse 1.
Revelation chapter 8, verse 1. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the seven angels which stood before the Most High, and to them were given seven trumpets.
So we see the seven angels with the seven trumpets. Just like in Jericho, we saw the seven priests with the seven trumpets. Verse 3, now here's the instruments. Verse 3.
And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne.
So now we have the censer, we have the altar, we have the instruments that were talked about in Joshua, the 6th chapter. Verse 4.
And the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before the Most High out of the angel's hand.
Out of the angel's hand, verse 5, the censer.
And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake.
So didn't we see that in Exodus 19:6? We saw that in, not 19:6, we saw that in Exodus 19. The thunders, the lightnings, the earthquakes, Yeshua coming. We saw that. And we saw that again in Joshua, the 6th chapter. Well, Joshua 6th chapter came in verse 6. Joshua's 6th chapter is Revelation in the 6th chapter. Read verse 6.
And the seven angels which have the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound.
So the seven angels had the seven trumpets, preparing themselves to sound. We saw that very same thing in Joshua, the 6th chapter, where the seven priests had the seven trumpets and they were preparing to sound. In the last days, there'll be seven angels instead of seven priests. And the trumpets are going to sound the alarm. But they are not the drama. The wrath of the Most High, the wrath of Yeshua. The trumpet is going to announce what's going to happen. Just like in Revelation, just like in Joshua, the trumpet was to announce what's going to happen to the walls of Jericho. The same thing here, when the trumpets are about to sound off, the trumpets are going to sound what wrath is about to happen. But let's see this. Let's go Revelation 15 and 1. Okay. Revelation 15 and 1. And let's read.
Revelation chapter 15, verse 1. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, seven angels having the seven last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Most High.
So we see that in Joshua 6 that these seven priests had the seven ram's horn. They were about to blow the seven ram's horn. And when they blew that seventh time, the people shouted And the wrath of Yeshua came and the walls came tumbling down. The wrath of Yeshua is not walls come tumbling down. The wrath of Yeshua is going to be these plagues. Verse 6, yes.
Is that the balls?
The vials.
Oh, yeah.
Verse 6.
And the 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linen, and having their beasts girded with golden girdles.
Verse 7.
And one of the 4 beasts gave unto the 7 angels 7 gold vials, full of the wrath of the Most High, who liveth forever and ever.
So these 7 vials of wrath, each angel had 1 vial. And people get it confused because they think that the trumpet is one set of events and the vials are a separate set of events, when in fact the trumpet is a precursor to the vial. The trumpet is the announcement of Yeshua. The vial is his wrath. Verse 8.
And the temple was filled with smoke from the glory of the Most High and from his power, and no man was able to enter into the temple till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were fulfilled.
That goes back to Exodus, the 19th chapter. When Yeshua came down, he came down, it was smoke. When Yeshua came down, smoke, the mountain, all over. The same thing here. Yeshua come down, smoke everywhere. 7 angels, 7 trumps, 7 plagues. These 7 plagues must be fulfilled. Let's read Revelation 8 and 7.
Revelation chapter 8, verse 7. The first angel sounded, and there followed hell and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up.
The first angel sounded is the first trump. Third part of the earth is burned up. Right? This is just the trump being sounded. Let's see the wrath. Go to Revelation 16, and we're going to read verses 1 and 2.
Revelation chapter 16, verse 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your way, and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon the earth.
Go your ways. These are the 7 angels who have the 7 trumps. So the first one is already sounded. Verse 2.
And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth.
Here's the wrath.
And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image.
The earth was in trouble and is in trouble. This was shown in the past. Yeshua's people are protected. Rahab was protected. We should be protected. At this time, these are the 3.5 years. We should be in the wilderness. The people who are outside of the wilderness are those who have the mark of the beast. Now, you also have those people who did not accept the mark of the beast. Right? People who are outside the wilderness, some accept the mark, some did not accept the mark. Hold that thought for a second. Yes.
The ones that didn't accept the mark aren't sealed, though, right?
They're not sealed. No.
Those are the ones that get
Right.
hit.
So every time a trumpet is blown, wrath is poured out. Right? So we sing the first one. Here's number 2. And let's read. Well, let's go back to Revelation 8. And we're going to read verses 8 through 12.
Revelation chapter 8, verse 8. And the second angel sounded, as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood.
Verse 9.
And the third part of the creatures dead which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed.
Okay, no way to travel, no way to do any of whatever you do by the sea. Verse 10 is the third one. Let's read.
Verse 11. In the name of
Verse 10.
Verse 10. And the third angel sounded,
Mhm.
and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters.
Water is life. Verse 11.
And the name of the star is called wormwood.
Mhm.
And the third part of the waters became wormwood.
Mhm.
And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter.
The waters become bitter, toxic.
So when a person has the spirit of bitterness in them, they're
Mhm.
what?
Toxic.
They can be toxic to themselves and everybody around them.
Right. So now this third angel has sounded the horn. And here's the wrath of Yeshua again. Right? But we have not seen the worst yet. Verse 12.
And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, for the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise.
All right. So once again, Yeshua told us this in Matthew the 24th chapter. Yeshua said that this was going to happen. He told us this, right? I went past. The third part. That's all we've been hearing. A third part of this, a third part of that, a third part of this. Right? What makes up the third part? And I kind of flashed it, so it don't matter. You probably already have the answer. The beast and the false prophet. Where are they coming from? The beast and the false prophet. Who is operating under the beast and the false prophet now?
The Roman Catholic Church / Pope.
That's one. What about the other? The EU. The EU is the beast. The false prophet is the Roman Catholic Church. So when it talks about the third, well, wait a minute. Isn't there somebody missing? You got the beast and you got the false prophet. That's the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, not the Roman Catholic Church. It's Rome. Right? The beast represents the EU. Those are all Romans anyway. The 1/3, the false prophet, is the Roman Catholic Church. Why is it only 1/3 is being destroyed right now? Somebody's missing.
Satan.
Satan's not missing. Satan is doing his
in the
business.
wilderness, how many people are going to be destroyed?
In the wilderness, 2/3 are going to die.
2/3, okay.
1/3 is going to make it.
Okay.
Right? But there's something missing. We're going to get that too. We've got to tie this together with these trumps. So let's see what happened after the angel blew, right? The fourth angel. Let's go back to Revelation 16, verse 8. Remember when we taught on Revelation, we had to go backward and forth. Revelation 8, Revelation 16, Revelation 8, Revelation 16. We had to go backward and forth because of the fact that in order to get an understanding on what is going on, you had to flip-flop between 8:16, 8:16, 8:16. So now we're in 16, and we're going to read about the fourth angel. Right? Remember, there's 7 trumps. Let's read it.
Revelation chapter 16, verse 8.
Yes.
And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun,
Yes.
and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire.
Listen to what happened. This is going on. Not now. Right? But this is going on. Read verse 9.
And men were scorched with great heat.
What did they do?
And blasphemed the name of the Most High.
They blasphemed still. Come on.
Which hath power over these plagues.
Yeshua has power over these plagues. They know that Yeshua is doing this, and they're blaspheming Yeshua. Keep reading.
And they repented not to give him glory.
They did not
I
repent.
told you that, yeah. Everybody.
This is what happens when you get a reprobate mind. They did not repent.
And they don't, it's because the scripture said the beginning of wisdom is to what? It's to fear the Lord. They don't have wisdom. They don't have knowledge. They don't understand that they need to fear him.
So imagine, and we're from Arizona, imagine the hottest day in Arizona. It's not going to be anything compared to this.
You know, it gets so hot in Arizona that if you have on certain type of shoes, your shoes will melt on the concrete.
Right.
If you stood in place long enough, your shoes will melt.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even read on the it's something in the cook.
Right.
Yeah.
So imagine that, but this day it's going to be hot. So the fourth, now understand while this is going on, we're in the wilderness.
But you know,
But by this time, probably a third of the people is already dead.
the powers that be, for now, they know this. It's I forgot what movie it was. I don't know if it was Mercury something, where people, the sun was burning people up, like the sun had got too hot. And it was setting people on fire. People were sitting in their cars, and the sun was burning them.
Yes.
So they know.
Exactly.
So are they mocking these scriptures here?
They're trying to.
Solar flares, yeah. They making fun of what's gonna happen. They ain't gonna be laughing.
All right. So the fourth angel is blew his trumpet, and then wrath. Right. Same thing. Like I said, we can read Joshua 6.
Oh my goodness.
And we can see, yes.
When certain things happen around here, we hear a trumpet blow, don't we? Before things happen, bad things.
Right.
Since we've been in New York, it didn't happen so much in Arizona. But some of the ladies around here, even to our daughter, she heard it. She was upstairs and I was downstairs. And we heard the chauffeur blare. And we knew what happened after that.
Right.
And we got scared because we knew what happened. That is still happening till this day. That when Yeshua, I don't know if we want to say, because we say, oh, a judgment has been made. When we hear the trumpet blowing, we say a judgment has been made. And, oh my goodness, I know how it sounds. The trumpet was blown, and guess what? People were put out of the ministry. Yeshua cut them off. And every single time a trumpet blared, you heard it. Oh my goodness.
And that's when a certain person was removed.
A couple of people, yeah. Oh my God.
So the sun, it gets hot.
Wow.
Let's go Revelation 8 and 13. We still have 3 trumpets to go.
He don't change.
Revelation 8:13. Read that.
Revelation chapter 8, verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels, which are yet to sound.
That was giving people space and time to repent.
Inhabitants, the people of the earth. The inhabitants of the earth. Wow.
It was giving space and time for people to repent before these last 3 woes come.
That's
So when the trumpet sound, there will be great trouble on earth. Yeshaya does not change. Anytime that there's a trumpet blaring, there's going to be great consequences on the earth. It's coming. Woe number one. Woe number one starts with the trumpet. We're going to go to Revelation 9. And we're going to see these. And we're going to start at verse 1. Got a lot to cover with this fifth trumpet. The last three woes, 5, 6, and 7. Revelation 9, we're going to start at verse 1. Let's see, and like I said before, you should not be here for this. Yeshua is giving us an opportunity not to be here for this, not to be partakers of this. Some of us who have been a part of this ministry already have a reprobate mind. Yeah. So those are going to be the ones who are doing this in Revelation 16:9. Blaspheming the name of the Most High, not repenting because you have a reprobate mind, because you would not stop doing your sin, you would not stop and you would not follow the law, statutes, and commandments. I keep saying this is not a joke. This is not a game.
It's not. We have seen it. People out of these 10 years of this ministry, Yeshua has cut people off from him and from his ministry, and we have heard the trumpets. We heard the trumpets blaring.
Yes,
we have heard them, and I didn't quite understand until right now. Every time we heard the trumpets blaring before a person got cut off from Yeshua's ministry. Every time. There has not been one time that we did not hear the trumpets blaring.
All right, Revelation 9:1.
Wow.
Read.
Revelation chapter 9, verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit.
The bottomless pit. 2.
And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit.
Sun and the earth, the sun and the air was darkened. War. Verse 3.
And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power.
Now we understand and know that there's not large locusts that's going to come popping out of the earth. We understand and know that these were war machines. John did not understand what he was seeing. The biggest weapon back then was a catapult. John did not understand tanks. He did not understand.
What are those things that's in the earth, and they open up and they rise up and they shoot like missiles and stuff? Missiles. But out of the earth, that's where they're kept.
Correct. So John didn't understand that, right? But he's given us a description. We know what it is because we know what this earth is. What this earth has now. These are war machines. Verse 4.
And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of the Most High in their foreheads.
So I'm going to have to find out what this is. Verse 5.
And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man.
So what's happening to these people that are not sealed? That these men that have not sealed and they have blasphemed the Lord. You've heard of Agent Orange, right?
Yeah.
What is that? Chemical warfare.
That was, I believe, I'm not gonna say the company, but it was a very popular company who made it. And it was actually used in Vietnam
Right.
as well, soldiers.
So verse 5 is not talking about somebody is going to be um, stung by a scorpion. Verse 5 is talking about chemical warfare. Because when you get chemical warfare, a lot of times you don't just instantly die.
No.
If you read about Agent Orange, they just didn't automatically plop dead.
No.
It affects the body over a period of time.
It's still people that today is being affected by Agent Orange.
Right. So that's what the Bible is saying. So we're getting an understanding, but we should also know who's doing this.
But there's nothing new under the sun. What was the other war, the Iraq? When they went over there, and what was that gas that was let loose on our people? I don't know. I used to work with this guy. When I used to work with this guy that fought over there, and from time to time, because I worked with him for like 2 years, he will break out all over in this rash and whatever. And he, even though they had the gas mask, they didn't work. That was Iraq, when they said Saddam Hussein had weapons over there or something like that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and so he suffered with this, and if he's alive today, guess what? It's something that it rises up in the body, it goes away, it gets worse and worse. So it's a torment.
Right.
It's torment.
So the Bible is saying right now that there's going to be war machines, there's going to be chemical warfare, right? But it's going against the EU.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be doing this. Verse 6.
And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them.
Verse 7.
And the shape of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men.
All right, so John is witnessing all this. He's witnessing a battle. Remember, this is trumpet number 5 and vial number 5. And it's woe number 1. This is only woe number 1.
So this is when it gets worse than the first 4.
Correct. Verse 8.
And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions.
See, he did not understand what he was seeing. He did not understand what he was seeing. He's seeing all out war. Verse 9.
And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle.
What is he seeing? Oh, he's seeing fighter jets.
Yeah.
He's seeing fighter jets. There was no fighter jets when John was around in 90 AD.
That's why he's comparing it to like animals, because
Correct.
he doesn't know.
Even the big helicopters, the war helicopters that have the doors open, you know, in the movies, and they go. How it sounds like truck. Yeah, like big locusts. No, I'm just thinking that.
Yeah.
What people were saying.
So see where it says, and the sound of their wings, meaning that it's something that's flying, right?
And then the first.
When it was the air show a couple of weeks ago, when he was having a Shabbat, you can hear them. They were loud. It didn't sound like regular planes.
Correct.
No,
Right.
helicopters sound like.
Right? And horses when they run into battle, right? Verse 10.
And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months.
So he's seeing missiles,
Yeah. Missiles.
right? Verse 11.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abdon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Right. Okay. Woe number one.
All this,
All this, right?
trumpet 5.
But this is the memorial of trumpets.
Ooh.
Verse 12.
Woe one is past, and behold, there come 2 more woes hereafter.
That was enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So we're going to find out what was that battle. Right? We're going to go, eventually we're going to get to Joel. We're going to read what battle you just read about.
Ooh, somebody made Yeshaya really mad, didn't they?
So the one woe is past. Here comes 2 more. Let's read about woe number 2. Memorial of blowing trumpets. Verse 13.
Revelation chapter 9, verse 13.
Yes.
And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High.
Remember, in the tabernacle of the congregation, there was an altar. And there was an altar that had 4 horns on each altar. And they would offer up sacrifices on that altar. Remember that?
Yes.
All right, verse 14, come on.
Saying to the 6th angel, which hath the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates.
Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Verse 15.
And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of men.
To slay the 3rd part of men. Right? Who's going to do it? Verse 16.
And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them.
What army is this?
The Red Army,
What's the Red
the
Army?
Russians and Chinese.
Russia, China, Iran, Ethiopia. Those are the armies of the East. And who are they doing this against?
The EU.
The EU and the Roman Catholic Church.
Hmm.
So see, we're in the midst of a battle. 17.
And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone.
So out of their mouth, that would be out, let's say, a tank. When a tank fires, what comes out? Fire.
Smoke, and then
So this is the battle of the first woe.
This is the second woe.
Of the
First woe is already passed.
I thought you said we were going to see what battle that was.
We're going to see what battle. All of this is tied together
Oh.
when we get to Joel. Verse 18.
By these 3 was the 3rd part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths.
So 1/3 was killed with this second woe. Another 1/3 is killed. Nations. These nations, the resurrection of Babylon. This is why Yeshua's servants need to be sealed. Chemical warfare. You go back a few verses. This is chemical warfare in 9 and 5. Chemical warfare.
So they can shoot all their missiles and chemical warfare, but when you're sealed by Yeshua, that won't mess with you.
Correct.
They really gonna.
And Rome is doing exactly what they did in the past. Remember the Crusades?
Oh yeah.
About taking land, converting people to Catholicism.
But
They're going to still be trying to do that same thing. But the Most High, Yeshua, is raising up Russia Now, when did he raise up Russia in the past? When did he do it in the past?
World War II.
A little bit, a lot earlier than World War II. When did he do it in the past? When he raised up a Russian.
AKA Rome.
No, a Russian, not Rome.
Russian. Oh, I don't know.
Was Napoleon?
He was a king. Cyrus.
Oh.
Remember, he raised up Cyrus.
Yes.
So this is not the first time where he's going to raise up a king to do his will. He raised up Cyrus to do his will with the Israelites in the temple. He's going to raise up a Russian king again, or a Russian leader again, to go against the EU, to do his will again. But as Bible prophecy, what happened to the Persians?
Wiped out.
They were wiped out. By whom?
Alexander the Greek.
By the Greeks. This time, there's not going to be any Greeks to wipe out. It's going to be Yeshua himself. The battle of Gog and Magog. Are we tying it all together now?
And a red woman.
Brimstone. Just thought I found something on brimstone. It's a flammable substance found around the Dead Sea. Isn't that interesting? In large quantities around the Dead Sea. Where's the Dead Sea? The Middle East, right?
Yes.
And those are just scriptures. You can get those on your own time, right? The second one started with the trumpet, didn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Let's continue. Let's go to Revelation 16. And we're going to go 12 through 16. Now, the trumpet is sounded. Has the wrath been poured out yet? No. Let's see the wrath. Revelation 16 and 12. Let's read that.
Revelation chapter 16, verse 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared.
Have you seen the Euphrates lately?
It's almost
I
dry.
haven't seen any Euphrates.
If you look at pictures of the Euphrates, just Google on your own time the Euphrates rivers in the 1900s, right?
Mhm.
And Google a picture of the Euphrates now.
It's almost non-existent.
Why are the Euphrates going to dry up? I'm going to tell you why the Euphrates is important.
It's people walking on it. It's like land. It's dry land. People walking on it.
There's a reason why the Euphrates. Yeah, I got it somewhere. Let's read verse 13.
And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet.
14.
For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of the Most High Almighty.
We have been reading about this great battle for a minute now. We should know what this battle is by now. 15.
Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame.
Blessed is he that watcheth and keep his garments. He's telling us this before it happens. 16.
And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon.
There you go. That's what battle we've been reading about. Yes.
So the three unclean spirits, kind of like when during the Crusades, how they did try and convert people. Is that what those unclean spirits are going to be trying to do?
They're going to be trying to convert people? Maybe. Let's see. Yes.
When it says and keeping his garments, would that be the arm of the Most High, or it says something different?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
When it says, and keepeth his garments, is that the armor of the Most High, or is that something different?
Incorrect. It's something different. Right?
You gonna tell her what it is?
Sure is. Nobody knows Yeshua is coming on the throne. Seeing all this destruction. Satan is an angel and he works for the Most High. The Most High says, I need a destroyer to do my work, and Satan, you're that one. I.e., the leader of Russia. Remember the 4 angels holding back? Now they let go. Let it go. Let it go. East of the Euphrates is Russia. And that's why America is very insignificant in Bible prophecy, because America is part of the EU, regardless what people think. England still controls America. They're coming with 200 million soldiers. The only army that can possibly be would be Russia and China with a little Iran and Ethiopia. That's scripture.
So you're saying Queen Elizabeth controls America. She's the queen over America.
She controls America.
And people don't realize it. They think, oh, America has its independence.
No, America's
No,
a
it doesn't.
corporation.
Yep.
Right?
And Queen Elizabeth owns it.
Russia and her allies will invade Jerusalem, where the false prophet and the beast will be destroyed. The 3 unclean spirits are conversations that are leading to war. Remember what the 3 unclean spirits, the mouth of the dragon, the mouth of the beast, the mouth of the false prophet. These are conversations of war.
Who's the dragon?
Satan.
He's telling them.
He's telling them what to do.
Mm-hmm. They're worshiping their father, the devil.
Right? When it talks about the garments, right? This is you.
Law, statute, commandments, righteousness.
Behold, I come as a thief. We don't know when a thief is going to come knocking on our door, or else we would be prepared.
Stay ready.
Stay ready. He's saying, blessed are those who watch and keep their garments, lest they walk naked and see his shame. We're going to go to Ezekiel.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So someone have a dream that they are in a bathroom stall and they're done using the bathroom and they wiping themselves, and then they discovered that there is no door on that stall and people are watching them. Does that mean that a sin is being uncovered or being shown?
More than likely, yeah.
So if a person has a dream that they're on a pulpit, and or while they're sitting on the pulpit, they realize that their dress is up and you can see their thighs and their stomach and all that. That's showing your private area.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a sin that's being?
It's probably a sin. It depends on who the person is. It's probably a sin that's being or about to be uncovered. Okay. So the Euphrates River goes through Turkey. Turkey is dividing. If you look at a map, Turkey is right where the West Europe is. It's between East and West Europe. Regardless of what people say, Russia's West Europe. East Europe is, EU. So Turkey is right in the middle. The Euphrates goes right in the middle of Turkey. In order for them to come through, the Euphrates has to be dried up. Now that's metaphor, right? The Euphrates don't have to be dried up for airplanes to go over it.
No.
That's just a metaphor letting us know that when the Euphrates starts to dry up, you better be on your P's and Q's, which is right now, right? Garments, the word, naked. Okay, we already know that. Yeshua is in control of all of this. Let's go to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Just like with Cyrus, Cyrus had done what he was supposed to do. Okay, there's no use for Cyrus anymore. Ezekiel 38, we're going to read verses 1 through 5. And let's see if we saw this in Revelation. Read that.
Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, and the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him.
Gog and Magog, right? Keep going.
And say, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords.
Didn't we read that in Revelation? Same thing. Our army, horses, horsemen, clothed in all sorts of armor. A great company. Verse 5.
Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet.
Persia is Iran. Like I said, the biggest weapon when John was alive was the crossbow.
Someone says perilous times here.
Yes, we are in perilous
And
times.
so what Trump?
Where are we at right now? Well, we're not in trumpet 4. I'm sorry, we're not in trumpet 5, 6, or 7. Right? We couldn't be in trumpet 5, 6, or 7. Are we seeing any of the trumpets right now?
Was that a question?
No, are we seeing any of the trumpets being blown right now?
No, I don't believe so. There hasn't been any plagues or anything.
Where are we supposed to be when the trumpet's supposed to start?
In the wilderness. So no, the trumpets have not started yet.
But they're getting ready.
I mean, the valves haven't been opened yet as well, right?
No,
They've been open.
in order to have a trumpet, in order for a vow to be poured, a trumpet has to be blown.
So the trumpet, it's like, is it, we're gonna actually hear the trumpet, or is that just a thing?
Do you hear trumpets now?
Oh.
Yeah, you're gonna hear it.
You're
No,
going
I'm
to all
talking
this.
about while we're in the wilderness.
In the wilderness, no. In the wilderness, we're going to have our own. We have our own issues to deal with.
Also, we won't hear.
In the wilderness, you're going to have your own issues to deal with. You're gonna know of this. But in the wilderness, we're going to have our own things to deal with because we got to get out of the wilderness. There's going to be events happening in the wilderness, right? We read that in Ezekiel. There's going to be things happening in the wilderness. So we're going to have our own things that we need to deal with. This is outside of the wilderness. Okay? Let's go to Joel 2. So who's in this battle? In the Lord's battle, the trumpet blows, you get wrath. He comes as a thief because nobody reads the Bible no more. Nobody knows prophecy. People are still going to church on Sunday morning.
They go out on Friday nights and go to church on Sunday morning.
My advice, yes. Well, my advice is you better pay attention to Russia. You better pay attention to what's going on in Jerusalem, and you better pay attention to the EU and read your Bible. That's who you should be focusing on. Should you be focused on North Korea? No, you should not be focused on North Korea or what's happening with that whole mess. Joel 2, we're going to start at verse 1.
Joel chapter 2, verse 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand.
So there's going to be a trumpet blown before the trumpets start to blow. 2.
and a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations.
Verse 3.
A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them.
Nothing shall escape. Right? Verse 4.
The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run.
Once again, horses, horsemen, battle. 5.
Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains, they shall leap. Shalaki Babakwaj. Like the horses of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap. Like the horse of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array.
All right. Once again, war. Verse 6.
Before their face the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness.
All faces shall gather blackness, right? War, battle, blackness of the face, right? You see those old World War II movies? And the guys they're fighting and they're dark, black, dirt. Same thing. Much grander scale, though. Verse 7.
They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march everyone on his way, and they shall not break their ranks.
Right? They're not going to break their ranks. War, battle. Verse 8.
Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded.
Right? So what does that mean? That goes back to Revelation, where the men are going to want to die, but they're not going to be able to die.
Oh, we have a question.
Yes.
Someone said, Sarah said, Shalom. Who is the
Shalom.
great people and a strong?
Who is the great people and a strong?
Yeah, he just read it.
No, verse 5.
A great people and a strong.
Yeah, verse 2.
Oh, a great people and a strong, right? Those are God and Magog.
It's the people in the battle. Someone said Isaiah 35, 1 through 10. I don't know what that means. They just put Isaiah 35, 1 through 10.
No, we don't have Isaiah 35, 1 through 10. But that.
I guess she's asking who are the people, the great people, and a strong, or who's fighting in this battle.
Who's fighting in the battle is Russia, China, against the EU. And I know there's groups out there that say that these are the Israelites fighting.
Yeah,
right?
I used to think that.
They say that this is the Israelites fighting because it says here in verse 8 that they'll fall upon a sword and shall not be wounded. Well, that cannot be true because of the fact the only time that Yeshua is going to bring forth his army is against Gog and Magog. Israelites are not going to fight in that battle because fire is going to come from heaven and destroy Gog and Magog. The walls are going to come down. The protection is going to come down. And Gog and Magog is going to see the Israelites.
Yeah.
And they're going to march against the Israelites.
To the wilderness to fight.
To the wilderness. At that point, fire is going to come from heaven and destroy Gog and Magog. All right? So that's where you're getting Ezekiel 35. Let's go to Ezekiel 35.
That's Isaiah.
Isaiah 35. Let's go to Isaiah 35.
She didn't put that there. Somebody else just put it. Isaiah 35, 1 through 10.
Right. Let's go to Isaiah 35.
Isaiah chapter 35, verse 1. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly, and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our power.
That's in the wilderness. Keep going.
Strengthen ye the weak hands, and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that have a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your power which come with vengeance, even the Most High with a recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an harp, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert.
Okay, that's the good part of the wilderness, right?
No, Sarah Israel was saying, yes, I thought they were Israelites. Because that's what some
That's
Israelites.
because, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, we're going to say the same thing.
Mhm.
That's what is being taught. And we thought that as well. It was the Israelites that was fighting. But
Israelites are not going to fight in any of these wars,
no.
right? And the reason why Israelites are not going to fight in these wars is because we have our own things that we're going to be doing in the wilderness to get out of the wilderness. These battles that are going on, Israelites are not going to be in these battles. These battles are between Gentile nations. That's who these battles are. In Joel 2, this is not Israel. This is not Israel. It is the Russian army, and it is the EU fighting against. The Battle of Armageddon is not, we're not going to fight the Battle of Armageddon. And this is what this is.
And we have seen this before, even to the bomb of Gilead, when we have seen how Yeshua had the Gentile nations to turn against each other. Even the same army, they turned against each other and destroyed each other.
Right.
We have seen this before.
Let's continue on reading, because this is not Israel, and there's a reason why, right? Where did we stop at? We stopped at verse 8. We read verse 8. They shall not be wounded. Verse 9.
They shall run to and
we read verse 9. We read verse 9, right? Verse 10.
Verse 10. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining.
Yeshua, let's pair that up with Matthew the 24th chapter, where Yeshua said this is going to happen. Revelation, we read, this is going to happen. These are not separate events. These are the same event. We should be in the wilderness when all the sun darkened, the moon dark. All this, we should be in the wilderness. Eclipse right now has nothing to do with Bible prophecy. Verse 11.
And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it?
Where it says the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, a lot of people think those are Israelites. Those are not Israelites. That's God and Magog. Remember, in Cyrus, he told Cyrus that he would speak for me. I'm speaking through Cyrus. Remember, the Bible says, thus saith Cyrus. So he's doing the same thing again. He called Cyrus for a mission. He's calling whomever is going to be the leader of Russia for a mission. He's calling it his army. He's coming against the Pope, the abomination of desolation. Verse 12.
Therefore, also now, saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and rend your heart and not your garment, and turn unto the Lord your power, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil.
All right, so the trumpets start everything off. But Yeshua told that in John. Remember we read Revelation 6? He told them all this. One nation controls 200 million soldiers. No one can leave unless you have the mark of Yeshua. Remember, those people had to be sealed. Third woe. That was woe number 2. We're going to go back to Revelation 11. The third woe sounded with the trumpet. So let's read Revelation 11. We're going to read 14 and 19. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord, and of his Hamashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever.
So he says the kingdoms of the world have become the kingdoms of the Lord. See that? That's not Israel. Verse 16.
And the 24 elders which sat before the Most High on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped the Most High, saying, we give thanks, O Lord, Ahia Almighty, which art and was and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hast reigned.
Okay? Now, remember, he used the Russians and China to overthrow the EU. Right? Verse 18.
And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth.
Verse 19.
And the temple of the Most High was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament, and there were lightning.
Remember, the ark of the covenant is the presence of the Most High. Okay? Now, wasn't that what happened in the wilderness after Egypt? The same thing happened in the wilderness after Egypt. When this is caused, the angels will now intervene. This is the seventh trumpet right here. Let's see the wrath. Skip down to verse 17, and let's read verse 17. 17 and 16. No, 16 and 17. Revelation 16, verse 17.
Revelation chapter 16, verse 17. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, it is done.
18.
And there were voices, and thunders, and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake, and so great.
An earthquake that has never been seen before. Verse 19.
And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before the Most High to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath.
Remember in Revelation, the 18th chapter, the cup? What you do, it's going to come back on you. Verse 20.
And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found.
Verse 21.
And there fell upon man a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed the Most High because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great.
The plague of the hail, and I think a talent is about 1,500 pounds. I think a talent is about 1,500 pounds or 500 pounds. One of the two, I don't remember. It is done. All the prophets wrote about this. We saw an example from Joshua, right? The great Babylon is the EU. But what about the dead? There was a question about the dead. We're going to go to 1 Thessalonians 4.
My question out here.
1 Thessalonians 4, we're going to start at verse 13.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope.
Mm-hmm.
For if we believe that Yeshua died and rose again, even so them which sleep in Yeshua will the Most High bring with him.
Uh-huh.
For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep.
Mm-hmm.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout,
Mm-hmm.
with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead and Yeshua shall rise first.
The trump again. Come on.
Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord.
Ever be with the Lord. Let's go to Habakkuk 1. So, Yeshua will descend with a shout. This is the first resurrection. So we understand that the dead are going to be risen at the first resurrection. One talent is 75 pounds.
The typically weighs 32.
Okay, I guess. Yeah.
It could be 50, it could be 110 pounds, 75 pounds to 110 pounds. That's still a lot to fall. Because they were saying that even the John Hancock in Illinois, if you drop a penny down and it hits somebody in the top of the head, it can kill them.
Oh.
So, and penny don't really weigh anything.
Right.
So if you drop something that's 75 to 110 pounds, and it's coming from the heavens,
right,
it's going to be fast.
Okay, let's see the first resurrection in Habakkuk. Let's read Habakkuk 1, and we're going to start at verse 1.
Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 1. The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see.
Mm-hmm.
O Lord, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear? Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save.
Mm-hmm.
Why dost thou show me iniquity, and cause me to behold grievance?
Mm-hmm.
For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are that rise up strife and contention.
People rise up strife and contention. Verse 4.
Therefore the law is slack, and judgment doth never go forth.
Mm-hmm.
For the wicked doth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth.
Verse 5.
Behold, ye among the heathen in regard wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your days which you will not believe,
Mm-hmm.
though it be told you.
It be told you. Verse 6.
For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation,
Mm-hmm.
which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling place that are not there.
So who are the Chaldeans? The Russians. He tells us this. He keeps saying it over and over again.
And they are known as a bitter nation.
He keeps telling us he's raising up Russia now. He's raising up China. Russia is getting in a pact with China. And we had that. I think we taught that about a year ago.
And China has 200 and some.
China and Russia combined have a little less than 200 million soldiers. And there's an agreement with China and Russia. They've already signed it. Ethiopia, according to Bible prophecy, and Iran, which is Persia, have to come into that as well. And who hates the United States more than Russia? Iran.
China getting that close.
Okay?
Trump is making sure that.
Verse 7.
They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed out of them.
All right. Let's see
them.
what Yeshaya said about all this. Right? Let's see what Yeshaya says about this. We're almost done with the memorial of trumpet. We're going to go to Matthew, the 24th chapter. Matthew 24, and we're going to start at verse 27. Okay. We read this in Exodus. We read this in Revelation. We read this in Ezekiel. Let's read. And in Joel.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 27. For as the lighting cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
The lightning coming out of the east, that's the East Army, going into the west, that's the EU, the coming of the Son of Man. Verse 28.
For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened.
We've heard that before.
And the moon shall not give her light. And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Verse 30.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
We've read that before. Verse 31.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet.
With a great sound of what?
A trumpet.
A trumpet, come on.
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds.
Then we see the four winds in Revelation, come on.
From one end of the earth to the other.
This is the seventh trumpet. Israel will be gathered. Let's go back to Joel. Joel 2, 15 and 16. And read that.
Joel chapter 2, verse 15. Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly. Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children and those that suck the breasts. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet.
That's a great invitation. It's a great invitation. But that's going to come with a trump. Going to the wilderness. The bride in the closet, because people don't believe. People will see, then it'll be too late. The bridegroom is Yeshua. The chamber is heaven. The bride is Israel. The fast is the day of atonement. The solemn assembly, the day of atonement. This is what happens when you read. No, I didn't say that.
We don't know which day of atonement.
We don't know which atonement.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I understand what you're saying of us following the feast to understand the times. Because
Right.
a lot of people aren't gonna, to them it's gonna probably, they're gonna think, oh, it's war, it's happening again, now we're getting attacked. They're not gonna understand that it's falling into,
Bible prophecy.
yeah, it's
Right.
Bible prophecy. They're just gonna think it's something else that's already happened before. They're gonna be like, so, into everything else, but knowing that it's by the prophecy and what's going on. Especially with adding things to like the feast days and then all these, you know, all a bunch of
Adding things to the feast day.
yeah, like different people out there when when they're changing them around, like changing the feast days around, not following them to how the scripture says, adding new things to it,
Right.
or adding things to it,
Or
just
like
confusing other people.
Like people are being fired by sacrifices.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't know which atonement. We don't know that. The servant will blow the trumpet, then Israel would be gathered, not before. And he told us that in Deuteronomy 30. He will return and gather for every nation from under the sun. Just like he said he was going to scatter you. Let's see something else. Go 1 Corinthians 15:49. So no, we don't know which atonement he's coming on. We don't know that. But that's why he tells us, be watchful, because he comes as a thief in the night. He also tells us to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing on atonement. Okay, Revelation. 1 Corinthians 15, we're going to start at verse 49.
Well, he has a message for the shepherds as well. What scripture when he says that he has set the servant as a Lord and a servant over his house?
Right.
Until he returns.
Until he returns.
So, yeah, we all should be doing what, law, statute, command. We should be righteous and serving because we don't know when he's coming back.
Right.
But there's a message for the congregation and for the shepherds, the leaders,
right,
the elders as well.
Correct.
He made it clear.
Crystal.
So no one can say, oh, I didn't know we were supposed to be doing this. But even too, as washing ourselves and purifying ourselves and getting the house ready for the Shabbat and keeping the clothes clean, like all that matters. People may think it don't, that it does not matter, but everything plays a part. It matters.
It matters.
Because if your house is like a pigsty and you got dirty clothes and your body's stinking, because we have to remember our people, the way our people live, the bathroom, the different things was done outside of the camp. Because the scripture says that Yeshua would do what? He will walk the camp at night.
The spirit.
He will walk the camp at night.
And you don't want Yeshua stepping in human poop.
So a lot of sick people, like Shepherd taught a couple of weeks ago, all these things, people, leprosy was outside the city, outside the camp. So that's why the spirit of sloth, of laziness, is a sin.
Right.
It's a sin. It's a sin not to wash your butt.
That's correct. Right, 1 Corinthians 15, let's start at 49.
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 49. And as we have borne the image of the earthly, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
Right.
Neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed.
That's right.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
There's even going to be a trumpet before we get to the 1,000-year reign. Right? After the wilderness, there's going to be a trumpet then also. Continue.
For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality.
Verse 54.
So when the corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and the mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the same that is written, death is swallowed up in victory.
All right. So, There's going to be a trumpet right before right after the wilderness, before the 1,000-year reign. It's not one of the seven. It's a different trumpet. Okay? Let's get precept. Isaiah 25, verses 1 through 6. We're going to finish this up in Isaiah 25. So everything that's going to happen is going to start with a trumpet, whether it's good or whether it's bad. It's bad for sinners. It's good for us if we're not sinning. Everything is going to be followed with a trumpet. It's going to start with a trumpet. That's why we have the memorial of trumpets. Isaiah 25, we're going to start at verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 25, verse 1. O Lord, thou art my power. I will exalt thee. I will praise thy name, for thou hast done wonderful things. Thy counsels of old are faithless and true. Faithfulness and truth shall I give all the applause. For thou hast made of a city an heap, of a defense city a ruin, a palace of strangers to be no city, it shall never be built.
Verse 3.
Therefore shall the strong people glorify thee. The city of the terrible nations shall fear thee. For thou hast been a strength to the poor, a strength to the needy in distress, a refuge from the storm, a shadow from the heat, when the blast of the terrible one is as a storm against the wall. Thou shalt bring down the noise of strangers, as the heat in a dry place, even the heat with the shadow of a cloud. The branch of the terrible ones shall be brought low.
Verse 6.
And in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wine on the lees will well refined.
So all this stuff is going on, and he's going to be doing good things for us in the wilderness, but just like he did good things for us in the wilderness in Exodus, you still are going to have people murmuring and complaining against it. Seventh, the grave, no one comes out of the grave until the seventh trumpet is blown. Flesh and blood dies, spirit beings don't. Everyone in the lake of fire will be a spirit being. The lake of fire is to punish people and the fallen angels forever. The memorial of blowing trumpets is to remind us every year that Yeshua is going to bring destruction on this earth. And he's going to take back Israel to the land. Israel will rule when he returns. The memorial of blowing trumpets. All right. That's it. Very important that we know these feast days. It's very important that we follow these holy days to their full example, right? So, with that being said, like we said, we started early because we still want to be able to partake in the holy day. We don't want to go all the way to Sunday. If there's no questions or no comments. Yes.
So I know I should probably know this. So the trumpet and the vials pair together. Do the seals and the bowls pair together?
What bowls? Bowls or vials?
The
What
Bible,
bowls?
does the Bible say bowls?
No, it says vials. The title says bowls.
Oh.
Yeah, that's where I got confused there too.
Okay.
Because the Bible says the bowls are open, but they're really vials.
Right.
Oh.
The seals are separate. The seals,
And the seals were broken
when
Yeshua died on the cross?
Yeshua was on the cross.
And he
They
returned.
began to
Remember
be
John
broken.
said,
Right.
Not all the seals are broken, right?
it said that only one can open it. It was the Lamb.
Right.
He broke the seal.
And all of them are broken, right? There's not some left over.
No, he
They're
said
broken.
they're broken.
He said they were
John
broken.
said he saw.
He saw Yeshua breaking the seals. So yes, those have been done already. Okay?
It's just things are still
Things are
to come
still
to
happening.
pass. Yeah.
Because the seal is broken does not mean that that stuff has happened already.
Okay.
The seals have been broken. That the things that happen when the seals are broken are going on now. Some of it has already happened with the famines and everything like that. We see all this stuff going on, the wars. We see all this going on with Zechariah. We see all this. So the seals, even though they are broken, they have not came to pass. They're still going on now.
So someone says, and I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries where.
Yes.
So we know that scripture.
Let's go into the wilderness.
And they said, they asked because some Hebrew camps are leaving to go to Israel. That's why they asked.
No, I mean, if you want to go to Israel, that's fine. You go to Israel. But Yeshua is going to gather us, pull us from the four corners of the earth. He's going to gather us. Read Deuteronomy 30, because that's in Deuteronomy 30 that he's going to gather us, right? If you want to go to Israel, if you want to go to Kadesh, if you want to go to Egypt,
We can't tell nobody where to go.
I'm not telling you where to go. But I'm telling you that the Bible says that he's going to gather us.
Sarah Israel said, Elder, why again don't you keep new moons? I know you said you were going to do a video. Do you have a video on new moons on your channel?
No, we haven't. It's because I don't.
We don't deal with that.
The new moons, the moons in Jubilee 6, where it talks about the new moon for the fall holy day. What I don't deal with is the red moon, because a lot of people think that when red moons happen, that's when certain events happen in the world. I don't do that. I don't follow red moons. As far as the new moons go, really, if you look at what Scripture is telling you, the new moons are categorized by the winter, spring, summer, and fall. I don't know where else the Bible talks about a new moon. And the Most High lines up the holy days with the seasons, except for summer. So I'm not really versed into the whole new moon thing, because keeping moons have nothing to do with salvation. Keeping the feast days according to the feast days have everything to do with salvation. And there's not a feast day that says on this new moon is the Memorial of Trumpets. On this new moon is the Passover. On this new moon is Tabernacles. That's why I don't really go into the moon thing. Because Leviticus 23 does not tell me that on the new moon is the tabernacle. Okay? If you want to follow moons, I'm not telling no one not to follow moons. That's up to you. But I'm just following what the scripture says as closely as we can, because our calendar has been jacked up, has been tampered with. Daniel says that they'll change times. They added years to what we're supposed to be. We're technically supposed to be in 1790 something, I believe, right now, not 2019. So as far as the new moons, I know camps teach on it. I don't really teach on the new moons because the Holy Spirit has not guided me to teach on moons. And if she hasn't guided me to teach on moons in 10 years, there's a reason why. Okay? That's it?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so Next Shabbat, we're going to be at our normal time, 3 p.m. start, because it's not a holy day. Okay, so the next Shabbat, we're going to be at 10 p.m. At 9 p.m. Friday.
It is a holy day, but it's not a feast day.
Next Shabbat.
It's the Sabbath. It said, remember the Sabbath.
Oh, the Sabbath.
Holy day.
Right. The next Shabbat, we start at 3 p.m. And Friday night is 9 p.m. So it's back to normal. And then we're going to go back to the 1 p.m. for a tabernacle.
She said, okay, there's a scripture that says to have a holy convocation on the beginning of each month. I got to find it.
You have to have a holy convocation at the beginning of each month.
Yeah, she said that there's a scripture. She said she got to find it.
Sure.
I haven't read anything like that. When you find it, Sarah, send it to me.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Right? Let's talk about it. Because like I said, I haven't done any lessons on new moons. The Holy Spirit has not led me to do a teaching on the new moons.
But why would we have to have a holy convocation on every new moon?
That doesn't make sense. We're supposed to have it every Shabbat.
So are we honoring the moon? Are we worshiping the moon?
Right. So if there's a scripture that talks about having a Shabbat on a new moon, I would like to know about that.
A holy convocation.
Or a holy convocation.
On the beginning of each month.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
All right. All right, we're just going to end with Psalms 1. And we will have our song next Shabbat. All right, Psalms 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly,
nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season.
His leaf also shall not wither,
and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish.
All right. So remember, Sister Sarah, send those scriptures over. We'll talk about it. For those of you enjoy the rest of Trumpets, have your meal. Now you can talk about your meal. Prepare your meal, get all that ready. Next time we live stream, Monday, Hebrew, Wednesday, Bible. Next Friday, Shabbat, 9 p.m. Next Shabbat, 3 p.m. All right.
If you have enjoyed this teaching and found it educational, please like, share, and subscribe for future teachings. Also, remember to hit the notification bell and then check all notifications so that you get every notification when we go live.
All right, we will see you all. Monday. Have a blessed memorial of blowing trumpet.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.